All right, this is going to be a follow along for typically what we experience as chest, upper neck, or back of the shoulder pain. For the soft tissue portion, you're going to need a lacrosse ball and a foam roller of some kind. If you do not have access to these two tools, either because you're on the road or whatever, skip to the middle of the video and just do the stretching portion. But basically, we're going to start with these two items. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to release three main structures. We're going to be releasing the latissimus dorsi, the lat, which is right back here, the pec, and the trap. These are the biggest, tightest structures. So we're going to work through those one at a time. What I would recommend is we're going to start with the ball. We're going to work on the pec first. Now, I have a section of wall here that's going to be similar to a door frame. We're going to take the ball, we're going to place our hand behind our back, we're going to pull the shoulder blade back, and we're going to place the ball right here on the chest. I'm going to either use a door frame or a corner of a wall. I'm going to step into it where it's the opposite foot of the side that I have the chest on, and I'm going to move up and down, massaging that part of my chest. And for some of you, you're going to find that there are knots there. So we're going to do this for 90 seconds. You can follow along with me. We're going to focus on breathing. We want to make sure that we're rolling on the meaty part of the chest, looking for any lumps, bumps, or knots, and trying to make sure that we're keeping the shoulder blade pulled back as we do it. It's really important. Also, it's important to understand that we do not want you to be beyond, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7 of discomfort. If you find yourself wincing or sweating or forgetting to breathe because it's so uncomfortable, that's too much. Don't do that. You'll notice that my head is well past the wall here, and that's because I need that to be able to put the pressure on the muscle and structures that I need to work on. And I'm using my legs to generate the pushing power. So as you go up and down, you're looking for knots. Like for me, there's one right there. So I can breathe on that and put pressure on it and slowly exhale. Now, for a lot of us that work at desks or sit a lot or drive a lot, or even for some of the clients I have that fly, this is an area that, because the arms are inwardly rotated, it often gets very, very tight. It's particularly tight under stress, and it's particularly tight for men that do a lot of upper body work. We're going to switch sides. Now we're going to do the other side. Now I'm going to demonstrate this in a different way. I'm going to point that way. So I've got this here. I'm going to place myself up against the wall, and I'm going to move up and down. The value of this for you as the observer is you get to see this from two different angles, so that you have a better sense of the way you should be oriented. If you're in a space and you don't have a corner like this where you can just turn 90 degrees, the best thing that you can utilize is a door frame. You can either be on either side of the door, but if the trim doesn't allow that, you can stand in the door frame and push into it. I'm going to move up and down, keeping my shoulder blades back, just slowly working through there. And if you're anything like me, you can literally feel the knots in your chest. Chest tension can cause neck pain and headaches. It can also cause shoulder pain, quite a bit of it. And it can make you feel like you're having a heart attack. So if you're the type of person that naturally holds a lot of upper body tension, this should feel really good, just probably not the first time you do it. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Focus on even breathing and just letting that release. And hunt around. Look for structures that need, you'll know when you find them. Good. Now we're going to take the same ball and we're going to work on the trap next. So I'm going to go to the wall. The trap right here is this part of the body. I'm going to place the ball here I'm going to lean at a slight angle, and I'm actually going to try to pin this and push up. Now you'll notice I'm hugging my arms, and I'm driving into the wall. I don't need to roll on that too much. You can if you want to. But honestly, for me, less is more. I don't need to move much to make this effective. Again, if you sit a lot or have forward head posture, or you drive a lot, or you fly, this is a structure that's going to be very tight. You may even feel it as a hot spot that wraps up around your ear and into your eye. That's not uncommon. Those are called trigger points, and trigger points have something called referral patterns. And a referral pattern is when the pain is not where the tension is, but it refers somewhere else in the body. So, just going to roll around on there and let that release. You may find that there's certain areas you can even move your head against it if you want to be real advanced. But again, you want to stay inside a 7, no more than a 7 of discomfort, which means I can still breathe even. I feel fine. Everything is tolerable, but I focus on my breathing and just not, I don't want to be making faces while I'm doing this. I want to be able to roll on it and get it to release, relax, hydrate, get some oxygen in there, get it to chill out a bit. It's a technical term, by the way, chill out. All right, switch sides. Hug, goes on the trap, roll up against it this way. We're going to start. Now, I'm going to show you 2 variations of the next one. I'm going to show you how to do it on a roller, and I'm going to show you how to do it with a ball. Because what's great about a ball is that a ball fits in a suitcase. If you're anything like me, and you travel a lot, you always want to have a ball with you. Whether you're on the road, or in the air, whatever. It's going to make a big difference. Oof. Sometimes the areas will be so rough and sensitive that you'll actually feel them crinkle. That's not a negative. If you've got an area that's like super hot, you can pause on it and just breathe. And right now I can feel this referring up through my neck into my jaw, for example. That means that's a good one. You really want to work. When you feel those referrals, that means that you're holding that tension, and that discomfort and tension may be contributing to other things that you don't normally think, oh, I wonder if that's connected to the backside of my neck, even though it's in my front eye. You wouldn't think that, but it is. Traps cause headaches. They have a very creative name. They're called trap headaches. All right, we're going to come off of there. So now we've done both traps, we've done both pets. If I've got a roller, I can lay on my side, placing my hand like this on my head so that I'm supporting my head. And then I can pin that muscle between the roller and the ground. Between the roller, I can pin the muscle between the roller and my rib cage and just roll across it like this, and you'll feel it crinkle on the roller. If you don't have a roller, what you can do is hook your shoulder like this, place the ball on the muscle, and then massage the muscle on the wall. This is also helpful if you're in a place that you don't want to lay it on the ground. So we're going to do that, either do the roller version or do my version. We'll do that for 90 seconds. Now this kind of upper body discomfort, chest discomfort, neck discomfort, shoulder discomfort, believe it or not, all stems from a similar problem. And that problem is when your shoulder doesn't sit back properly, it falls forward and it pulls the shoulder joint out of place. And then when you go to do certain things like reach up overhead or reach behind you, it causes discomfort in the shoulders. Now, if you're not the type of person to reach up overhead or reach behind you much, you may experience it as neck or head tension. But it all stems from the same thing. And it's this forward shoulder posture and chronic tension in the front. It's called upper cross syndrome. Many people now call upper cross syndrome tech neck. But believe it or not, it's existed for a long time, and it predates the tech neck. You can look it up online. It's by a Czech guy named Vladimir Janda. He developed something called the Janda method, and this is a pathology from the Janda method that we're going to help correct by establishing better biomechanical patterns. There we go. So now we're going to switch and do the other side. Now remember, I'm not hugging my chest, I'm hooking my shoulder. What that does is it pulls my shoulder blade forward and lengthens the lat so I can find it with the ball and do the other side. And you can do the roller version if you'd like. We're going to get in there. As you roll around, you'll feel the head of the lat kind of go pump, pump across the ball. That'll be really obvious. And what you'll notice is one lat may not really be hot at all. It might just be one of them that's really, really hot. And then what that means is that that's probably inflamed and it needs a lot of TLC. So just kind of get into those structures and move around. And after this, we're going to do one little bonus one for those of you out there that do a lot of rotating. And if you don't know what I mean by rotating, I mean this kind of motion. That's rotation of the shoulder. Because we have a thing called the rotator cuff. You may have heard of it. It's actually on top of the shoulder blade, and it handles a lot of this rotation. It is often the contributor to shoulder pain and a lot of this clicking and popping that goes on up here. Again, we're just going to roll through these structures, trying to get some hydration and oxygen in there, and thereby relieve some tension and increase what we call glide. Staying inside a 7, no more than a 7 out of 10. All right, last one we're going to do as a bonus is the rotator cuff. We're actually going to find this. So you find this web. It's kind of sits right along here. You got a bunch of little rotators in here called teres major, teres minor, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, all that. So what I want to do is take the ball. I'm going to hook again high so the shoulder blade comes forward. I'm going to place the ball right here on the back of my shoulder blade. I'm going to pin the ball between the shoulder blade and the wall. This is not a large surface area. Hunt around in there looking for hot spots. You do not need to know which muscle you're on. Many of them are no bigger than a couple of fingers. So it's not a big area, but look for hot spots. And when you find them, you can actually just apply pressure and move the arm. You can roll across them this way, or you can just get on it and breathe. And if it's real hot, breathing might be the only thing you can do without being like, so just kind of get in there and let that release. You'll find that's going to give you the ability to roll through that. And my right one's hot right now. And if you do a lot of upper body lifting, like overhead pressing or bench pressing or push-ups, chances are this is tight. And it's tight because pressing is a rotational motion, just like rowing is, because the arms do not move linearly, they rotate. Even when you think you're moving in a straight line, they are in fact rotated. So the rotator cuff is constantly involved. You're going to say, not when I do flies, and the answer is, you're still wrong. It just doesn't rotate a lot, but it still rotates. All right, we're going to switch sides. Hook on the shoulder blade, pin against the wall, roll around there. Now after we get done with this side, we're going to do a series of basic stretches. And those stretches are going to be to try to, again, get some movement into that area so that the shoulder blade can find a new place to settle. And you may find that the tension and discomfort on the two sides are very different. The reason I hold my arm is so that my shoulder blade is in a fixed position so I can target the muscles. The shoulder blade floats. It's not really attached to your body in like the way that your like hip and ilium are attached to your body. It kind of floats around and it's hung there on a sling of muscles. And so by lengthening and repositioning the muscles, it allows us to get greater range of motion and find a new resting place for not only the shoulder blade, but the shoulder capsule. The capsule's attached to the blade. And they are not the same thing, and they do not do the same things. Just take deep breaths. Again, you may experience referral pain all the way down to your fingertips. That's not uncommon. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take that ball out. We've done all the releases. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a stretch. So stretch number one. Most of us spend most of our time in this inwardly rotated position, whether we're on our phones, typing, driving, whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to use this wall. I'm going to take my hand like this. I'm going to point my fingers backward, and I'm going to flatten my hand if I can against the wall. From here, I'm going to take a step forward with the inside leg. I'm going to step forward. Now I'm going to start to feel a stretch here. If this is painful, you can lower your hand. But I'm going to feel a stretch here. Now I'm going to rock into that knee on the ball of my back foot, keeping my pelvis square. And I'm going to turn my head that way. And as I turn my head, I'm going to feel tension increase on the wall. I can either lean more into my knee or I can lean more toward the wall. But I'm going to keep my head turned and I'm going to feel that stretch all through my forearm, bicep, chest, and up through my neck. Okay? So it's going to look like this. Hand goes back, step forward, rock into the front knee, look away, keeping that position. I put my hand here so I don't feel myself like wanting to twist like that. So I do this just to make sure that I'm as square as I can be. And you can even tilt your head, you can do all kinds of things. But I'm trying to basically draw a bowstring all the way through my head here. And I can even feel this around the back of my ear. And if it loosens up and you have to get a little closer to the wall and reposition, you can do that. But the shoulder blade's got to be back. I don't want the shoulder rotating forward, which I can't even demonstrate in this position right now. I'll show you what I mean in a second. And breathe. Deep diaphragm breaths. Keeping the shoulder blade back and down. Now rock back, step out of it, we'll go the other way. So when I say forward with the shoulder blade, the shoulder should not be rolled forward like this at all. The reason we don't want this, that's why we place the hand fingertips back, is so the shoulder can't do this. That's why it's also important to have a flat plane to do it against. So fingertips are back, backward. I'm going to step into it. I'm going to hold this position. I'm going to look away. And if you're anything like me, you've got one that's a lot tighter than the other. But I'm going to focus on breathing into my diaphragm, slowly out through my mouth, keeping my head turned, and I want to feel like there's a drawstring that pulls across me all the way up through my neck and into my, essentially, you can even feel like it's in your ear and jaw. I don't want my hand to go higher than my shoulder, but it can go lower if this is too painful. And I can always increase my distance, increase or decrease my distance from the wall. So if I get really good at this, I can get closer to the wall, but it's not a competition. And I'm not really good at this, so for me, this is a very reasonable and appropriate distance. Especially since there's no single muscle I'm trying to stretch. What I'm trying to do is put my arm and head in the opposite position that I spend all day in. All right, and we're going to let that down. Now, we're going to go overhead. I'm going to use this again. We're going to say this is like a door frame. I'm going to place my palm on the door frame. I'm going to swing the leg that's with that palm back. I'm going to lock the elbow, and I'm going to drive my chest down toward the ground, rolling my shoulder blade backward. So, we're going to push into the wall. I'm going to lean into it. I'm not arching my back. I'm trying to push my sternum down and allow my shoulder blade to roll backward. Again, all of these are designed to be modular. You don't need a lot. You just need a ball. But I want to make sure I'm keeping my arm locked. I'm not bending the elbow, and I'm not letting the shoulder roll forward. I keep it back. And you'll notice I hug my ribs a lot, and I do that to remind myself not to twist and not to arch my back too much. Understand that the body is not a static thing. The human body is, in fact, a bunch of soft and squishy, bendy parts with a bunch of hard parts, and that we really don't organize ourselves in space statically. So we want to put some extra tolerance into the system, particularly if we're in tension or discomfort. And a lot of the time it will reorganize itself over time with consistency. But if it's painful, it's because there's inflammation often, and that, that needs fluid and oxygen, and by stretching and rolling, we're getting fluid and oxygen into those structures. All right, let's switch to the other side. Hand goes on the wall, foot goes back, driving the chest down toward the ground. Trying to keep a nice neutral spine. I'm not arching my back. I'm not looking at the horizon either. You'll notice I'm looking down because I want my ears in line with my shoulders, or as close to that as I can get. Just breathing even, allowing that to open up. And again, we're not trying to stretch any particular muscle. We're trying to open up the range of motion of the joint, specifically the joint, and allow the shoulder blade to reposition itself in relationship to the rib cage. About 30 seconds. Now we're going to go through each one of these one time. If you're having acute shoulder pain, I would highly recommend doing it 1 to 3 times a day. Sometimes morning, noon, and night. Or if you're on a long road trip, before and after you get out of the car. Wherever it gets irritated, prep it, and then help it recover with the same motions. Because again, remember, we're not just stretching the muscles. We're trying to get oxygen and fluid into the system. Now, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to place it behind me. I'm going to pull it to the opposite hip. And then I'm going to tilt my head away, and I'm going to feel it as a stretch down the side. So I'm going to pull, tilt away. We're going to hold that. I can turn my head, slightly change my position, not a lot. The goal here, by pulling the hand to the opposite hip, we're anchoring the shoulder so it can't raise. And what this does is it allows us to stretch into the neck and into the traps. And that's why I don't say, oh, you got to do it exactly this way. What I say is get into this position and look for tension. Just look for tension. You'll find it. It's there. And just lean into that tension. And as you inhale, keep the arm anchored. You'll feel the difference. Breathe in. Slowly let out. And you'll feel the tissue open up. And it will open up. All right, come out of that. Other side. Pull across. Tilt the other way. You can slightly adjust, looking for whatever tension you're holding in that region. Because it'll be there. Particularly in the modern world, it is common for us to hold a lot of tension around our necks and in our chests. Often one-sided. When I say the modern world, I do not mean the technological world. I mean the literate world. Technological world doesn't help either. But that's only because of overstimulation. And that overstimulation has to go somewhere, and it often is stored as muscle tension. So one way to somewhat defrag your system is to occasionally release that tension. You may find that if you're holding less physical tension, it's easier to let go of stimulus and emotional tension. You may find that. It's not always true, but it's sometimes true. Come on out of that. All right, so that is our upper body, chest, shoulder routine. So do that 1 to 3 times a day consistently, and if you have any questions, throw them in the comments below.